Okay, so before I start this, I just want to start off by saying I am in no way encouraging anyone to either stop or start taking any sort of medication in any way. Okay, this is just my personal experiences and what I did. So for some background, I never really liked like the idea of prescription drugs or otherwise like any of it. And that might be because of the way that I was raised. I mean, most likely it's because of the way that I was raised. Because my mother, she never really had any of that in the house. Like never like Tylenol or Midol or all those Advil. I can't even think of all the names because we never had them. So that's probably why I never really liked any of the prescription drugs. Even now, living alone, I only have a Tylenol painkiller. And I'm like, that's just in case for emergencies because I live alone. I feel like I need to have something. Yeah, so I've never really liked prescription drugs. So April 2015 is when I started taking the Zoloft. My doctor at the time, she still is my doctor, had prescribed it for me. Now, the reason why I had switched because for so long I had hated the idea of prescription drugs. So the reason why I switched over, I was like, I'm just going to try this, is because I knew that I was graduating college in a month after that because it was April and I would have graduated college in May. So I was like, I felt like I wouldn't be able to do like the adult thing without some sort of help. Because I remembered after I graduated high school, I think it was 2 years. I had 2 years before I went to college because paperwork issues, whatever it was. But there were 2 years in between then. And I can like count on my hands the amount of times I left the house in those 2 years. So I think that I didn't want that to happen again after I graduated college. Plus, I was living with my sister at the time. And it was not the greatest environment for either my anxiety or depression. So I was like, I need something so I can get a job and get out of here. Because at that time, I didn't even think that getting a job was like on the table. Like I didn't even think that was something that I could possibly do with the way that I was feeling without taking the Zoloft. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. Like I have to get something in order to get me to get out of the house. Yeah. So my doctor prescribed 25 milligrams, is that what they call it? mg, whatever it is. 25 milligrams, I believe, of Zoloft. And she gave me such a low dosage, she said, because at the time I was only 110 pounds. And she was like, she didn't want to guess like overall my body or like shock my body or something, especially because I didn't take anything before that, like ever. So she was like, okay, we're going to start with 25 and we'll see how that goes. So I took the 25 milligrams for 4 weeks. And then when I came back to her, I had the update to tell her everything that I felt about it. Now, what I felt personally was I didn't feel like it did anything at all, except it made me the most nauseous I had ever been in my entire life. And it was the weirdest nausea because I would only it wasn't like, sometimes it would come on randomly by itself, but majority of the time, either if I laughed or I coughed, then I would suddenly feel nauseous. And I'm like, this is strange. So that was the first thing where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this because it's not doing anything and it's making me, it's not doing anything to help the situation, but it's also making me nauseous. Now, number 2 was it made me so freaking drowsy. I had never been so tired before in my entire life. I would take like any opportunity I got to take a nap, I would take it. Like if we had something to do, if I came home from school and we had something to do later on in the day, like if I got home from school like 12 and we had something to do at 6, I would go, okay, I'm taking a nap and wake me up at 5. Like I would do this all the time, constant naps. And after I napped, I would still go to bed the whole night with no problem, which actually wasn't that bad because it takes me a long time to fall asleep now. But that's probably a side effect of my maladaptive daydreaming and not of my social anxiety. So I was taking a crazy amount of naps. And another thing, it's hard to explain this, but they're called like brain zaps. When I was doing my research on these, like before I told my doctor that I wanted to start something, I was doing research on all the different like types of pills that I could take. And I think it was Paxil, the one where everyone was saying that they were getting these brain zaps. So that's why I decided not to go with Paxil. But turns out it doesn't matter because it happened anyways. And it's hard to explain what they feel like. Like the only way I can think to explain it is like if you like tighten your body and you get that that like vibration when you tighten your body. That's what it feels like, but involuntarily only in your mind, like if your brain was tightening itself and had that like vibration. That's kind of what a brain zap feels like. And they didn't happen, it was not like they happened all the time, maybe like not like once a day or anything, maybe like 4 or 5 times a week, So when I had my check-in with her, I told her, all the things that happened, the nausea, the sleepiness, the drowsiness, and the brain zaps. And I said, and it also is not doing anything to help with any of my depression or anxiety. So then she's like, okay, we're going to up your dosage to 50 milligrams. Yeah, milligrams. So we're going to up it to 50 milligrams. So for another 4 weeks, I was on the 50 milligrams. And although I hate medication, I'm not going to lie and say that it didn't do anything, because it definitely helped with the depression, like tremendously. Zoloft definitely helped. With the social anxiety, not as much, but I feel like it did. I can't like pinpoint exactly what it helped with, but I feel like it did help with it. But I felt like I was able to do more things, even with nervousness. Like it wasn't like myself stopping myself, like I felt like I had a little bit more control over what I could and couldn't do. On the 50 milligrams, I was still very nauseous. But I feel like around like week 6 is when it started to like slow down. Like it wasn't, I didn't notice it as much. Now the drowsiness never went away. That I noticed 100% with the 25 milligrams, with the 50 milligrams. It did not go away. I was like drowsy all the time. So that was definitely a downside. I don't know if I would have stayed on it longer, if that would have went away. Because for some people, they say it does go away. For some people, it never goes away and they're always drowsy. And I don't think I could have handle that, because I'm pretty fatigued already. Like normally dealing with life, I'm like pretty exhausted already. So I don't think I would have been able to continue if that would have kept going on. And the brain zaps also continued, but less than when I was on the 25 milligrams. And I don't think it had anything to do with the dosage, why they stopped and didn't stop. I think it had to do with how long, because this was another month. This was month 2 with the 50 milligrams. I feel like it had to do with the fact that this was now another month and that my body was getting used to it. Now, I did refill the prescription after those 4 weeks for another 50 milligrams. And I believe I got like halfway through the bottle. Like I still have it. I didn't count them or anything, but I believe I got like halfway through it before I decided that I just was not for me and that I was not feeling taking them anymore. I think a lot of that decision probably had to do with the fact that my mother was not very supportive of me taking these at all. Like she did not want me to take them, which is understandable, because I didn't want to take them either. Like personally, I didn't think that I should have to take medication like for the rest of my life in order to deal with these things. Like I didn't think I wanted to do that, but I felt like I had to at the time, because I felt like I couldn't really like go into like adult life by myself, like without taking them. So when I made the decision to stop, I just like literally stopped. Like I think I'm pretty sure you're supposed to tell your doctor you're going to stop, and maybe they wean you off of them, but I wasn't on them long enough, I felt like, for anything to go wrong. So I just didn't take it anymore. And the next time I had my visit with her, which was 4 weeks after that one, or 6 weeks, it was a longer time in between. It might have been 6 weeks. I told her I don't feel like I should have to take them anymore. And she's pretty cool about whenever I tell her anything. Because, some doctors like pushy and like they want you to do these things, obviously because they get paid for it. But I felt like she's a really good doctor, because she was like, oh, okay, that's fine. She's like, my children don't even take like any medications. I don't let them take them either. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good. It was good that we were on the same page. And she felt like if I felt like I didn't want to take them, then I didn't have to. So basically, while I do feel like they helped a lot, more with the depression than the anxiety, but that might have changed as time went on. Maybe it would have helped more. But from my experience, taking the Zoloft definitely did help, but it just was not for me. I could not see myself like dependent on this to live my life, basically. I did not want to be dependent on something in order to seem like average or normal, I guess. I did not want to be dependent on something else to help me feel that way. So I decided it just wasn't for me.